Good afternoon, everybody. We will be joining you in a minute or so, letting everybody still trying to get into the Zoom room enter, and we'll be with you momentarily. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's conference. We'd like to welcome all that are joining us through the social outlets from SNY as well as the Mets. As you all know, the release announcing the entire 22 coaching staff was sent out last week. So we will go right into questions for Billy and Buck. A reminder that we're still at a point where neither are going to be permitted to speak about players due to the lockout, but obviously, of course, can speak to any of the new members of the staff. So with that reminder, use the raise your hand tab at the bottom and indicate whether your question is for General Manager Billy Epler or Manager Buck Showalter. With that, we will begin with Andy Martino. Andy, your line is open. You have the first question.
Hi, Billy and Buck. As we look at this coaching staff that you've assembled, you have people from a variety of different backgrounds, variety of skill sets, and people who might be described in different ways as old school, new school, analytics, etc. How important was it to you guys as you were assembling the staff to have that diversity of experience, and did you explicitly set out to have that range?
Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Andy. A lot of responsibility. First question.
Big pressure.
It was a good one. So when we set out to assemble this coaching staff, kind of a diversification of skill set was something that we talked about. We wanted to make sure we had as many angles covered as we could have covered. So something to be able to cover blind spots of one person and hopefully could shore that up, in another area. And so experience played a factor in it. And also people that had a little bit of familiarity with a lot of the different tools and technologies that have been introduced into the game since, I don't know, probably about 2015, 16, when we've really, seen an advancement. So.
Yeah, it was a collaborative effort. I'm very proud of the staff. Like Billy said, very well-rounded. Everybody's very open to everything that may come our way. And, you look at serving the players' needs, the most important thing probably, and making sure that we bring somebody that keeps the avenues open to all things. So I know the work that Billy and I and the organization put in with the candidates that we talked to was a very long process. We got started a little late in the game, and but to get to where we've gotten now, it's passed through a lot of filters, and I'm very proud of it. Looking forward to working with them.
And Buck, you've been doing this a long time, obviously. What, at this point in your career, what are you looking for from a bench coach? What role does a bench coach play for you in game, and what does he do for you?
You can't just put a blanket over it. Says this is exactly what they're going to do. I've known Glenn since she's 89. He was a player coach for me in Albany, and he's still a little mad at me because I had to activate him one time in New Britain. I asked him the other day if he's still mad. He said a little bit because Jim Leyritz got to critique his catching, that he was supposed to be coaching him, but took him with me to New York as a bullpen catcher, batting practice pitcher. Still throws great BP. They fight over getting in his group, but took him out to Arizona to handle the catchers throughout the organization. And he went on to, Glenn wasn't somebody's guy. He's a baseball guy. You bring up Glenn's name, he's just solid. Doesn't have a lot of ups and downs emotionally. He just, he's very into winning, very emotional, write the right things, but very even keel. And as far as what I will use him for, the sky's the limit. Obviously, his first responsibility is the catching. He's as good as there is, and he has a way of making people better and maintaining skills that people have. And it's never about him. It's just, what do you need me to do? But he's had a great experience coaching the bases. He's had great experience handling the running game. He knows how bullpens work, and he has some familiarity here with the Mets. And everybody here that was here when he was here, we're real excited about adding him to the staff.
Next question will come from Tony DeComo.
Hey guys, one more on the coaches from me, and this is for either of you. There's been a trend around baseball the past decade, I'd say, of teams getting bigger and bigger, big league coaching staffs. You guys obviously went with a more traditional size, seven guys. What went into that decision?
I mean, it was something that Buck and I talked about, the size of the staff. But, one of the things that popped in my head, and I'm sure, Buck had his own thoughts about it as well. There's a lot of new people around here that are going to be around in that locker room, myself included, Buck included. I mean, I joked with him a couple of times because he'd ask me, what's up with this or what's up with that? And I said, I started 25 days before you, so I don't have this answer for you right now. But one thing that we're both very aware of is how players perceive things and how players feel. And when you have a lot of different faces and everybody's new, or the vast majority of people are new, that can lead to potentially a little discomfort. And that's not what we want. We want to kind of move a little slower through the process. If we find areas that we feel that can be supplemented, we'll add. But we didn't want to, roll out this 11, 12 person coaching staff, which, we see throughout the game. And that's not a knock on having that, but we wanted to make sure there was a purpose behind it rather than just trying to fill seats in a classroom or fill seats on a bus.
Yeah, it's going to be a very welcoming group to whatever someone has to offer. I don't believe in any form of like player hazing, stuff you've seen through the years where the veterans do it's just, I want to make anybody's path easier that is a Met employee and is going to wear our colors, whether it be players or whether it be someone who might bring us 1 inch of something that might make us have a better chance to win. But, I think the players, everything is always around what the players' needs are. And like Billy said, when I was in last stop, we had to kind of invent our analytic department. He kind of asked me about that, and I said, well, I don't know. I've never really had one. What we kind of multitasked it. Whoever was doing the replay was doing some of the video and was doing a little bit of everything. And you can make it work, but the resources here have been exemplary, and I'm looking forward to. We all are trying to match up the pieces, making everybody feel comfortable to bring what they bring.
And also unrelatedly, it seems like the major things you wanted to accomplish this offseason are now done. So for both of you, again, Billy, until you can start negotiating with players' teams again, and Buck, until you can get in touch with guys, on your own team, how do you plan on using these next few weeks, or however long it might be?
Well, speaking for myself, there's a lot of different departments inside of baseball operations. Depending on how you look at it, you can call it 8 departments, 9 departments inside of baseball operations. From the moment I walked in the door, it was, hitting the ground, sprinting as far as, player transactions. We executed those transactions. It rolled right into managerial search. That took, 18, 19 days to identify the candidate. We ended up, going with the best guy, the best guy that we interviewed. And so, and then we rolled from that right into a coaching staff, and we started calling for permissions, or I started calling for permissions probably around the day after Christmas, and went through that process, and it led us to the point that we are, the place we are now. Now it's time for me to really connect with player development, with amateur scouting, with pro scouting, with amateur international scouting, with analytics, with performance science, the general front office and baseball operations, the baseball systems group, because there's a lot of ideas people have, and there's a lot of initiatives we want to implement as we move forward. So I won't be bored. I'll put it to you like that.
Billy and I are headed to St. Lucie, I think, on Wednesday, and spend a little time down there. But it's obvious that Billy and I share a lot of hopes and dreams for the Mets, and the energy level and the sense of urgency that I'm excited about it. And whatever it is, let's do it. And it's a real short conversation. What are you doing? Let's talk about this. Let's do this. And, trying to finish off each job and not get too many balls in the air. It's obvious that Billy can juggle a lot of balls. He's very good at it, but, just trying to close one. It's frustrating not being able to speak to the players directly, but I know that 29 other clubs don't have a head start with us. So, we're really spending a lot of time trying to say, okay, if we start on this date, what are we going to be able to do? What are we going to be able to do on this date? And where you just plug it in, you can't go down there completely on the blind and not be prepared. It's just like having a workout for when it rains. You have to be ready for that when it happens. So we're trying to make sure right now, that we're prepared for different scenarios for spring training.
Great. Thank you all. Mike Puma, your line is open.
This is for both guys, I guess. Given the focus on the offense with the struggles last year, there's going to be a lot of focus on the hitting coach. Just what, in your minds, made Eric Chavez the right choice for that position?
We interviewed a lot of really strong candidates for that position. As Buck and I talked through that process, one of the themes that we kind of kept coming back to was, the mindset, the approach, and I think that kind of steered us in a direction of some experience, living and dying in the batter's box, for lack of a better term. And so, that's how, we ultimately landed on Eric, was just that ability to put together a plan for, attacking a pitcher, knowing what that individual is trying to do, and really thinking through an at-bat and an approach in at-bat more than, let's say, the technical aspects of the swing or, that in turn. I know you didn't ask about Jeremy, but that's kind of the compliment that we went for, was some technical analysis to kind of blend with, years of experience.
I think Eric's ability he's well-rounded. He's receptive to things. He's also, hey, when it's a time of, hey, let's go hit. All that's fine. Now we got to go hit. When the game, he's very protective of the game itself and what it entails being a good major league hitter. But I just love his sense of urgency, his energy level, but he's also got some reality of the, one of the problems a lot of coaches have is they forget how hard the game was to play and how bad they were on a given night. Eric, there's a fine line between empathy and sympathy. And I think we had some great candidates. Eric brought some things that we thought were in need of, and has some background in being a part of the New York sports culture.
And Billy, was it tough dealing with the Yankees to get him out of his contract and get him over to the Mets?
No, I wouldn't say it was tough. There was an understanding. I had talked to Cash, even before he and the Yankees had hired Eric. He had asked me, if there was a possibility that he would come over here, and Cash and I had an understanding that if the lead role opened here and he won the day, that he would get their blessing. And so that's ultimately what happened. I know it played out a little differently in the papers and things like that, but no, it was talked about beforehand.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tim Britton will come to your line next.
Hey guys, Buck mentioned that you guys got started kind of late in the game. For Billy, how difficult was it putting together a coaching staff in late December and January when a lot of teams have their coaches already in place?
I wouldn't say it was particularly difficult. I don't know. It'd be interesting if maybe if you canvassed the other 29 general managers and they saw my name pop up on the phone, maybe they felt a little different. But by and large, people were very understanding of the situation that we were in, the timetable that we were on. Now, but at the end of the day, a lot of organizations make their decisions around their coaching staff a little bit more in the months of October and November. And generally, this has been anything but a normal year. But in a normal year, you would hoped to have that wrapped up by Thanksgiving. Those weren't the circumstances that we were in. There was another club in fairly similar circumstances. And so that took the process a little deeper. In certain instances, you didn't get access to a particular candidate that you might want to have access to talk to. But that's well within, that organization's right. That's why, we sign contracts. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's something that you sign away when you do sign those contracts. So I understood the whole process.
Tim, it's funny. We were just talking about this recently that this morning that, we've got good people. We were very confident of that. So the time's going to come when they're going to call us. We're going to get those same type of calls, and they'll probably start out, Billy, remember when you called me on January, whatever? And, you seem to always be reminded of that. But, they were for the most part, I thought they were very welcoming to the potential upgrade we offered in jobs.
And then for both of you, this is one of the first processes you've worked through together in these new roles. What did you learn about each other in this process, finding a coaching staff that maybe you didn't know about each other beforehand?
I learned that Buck's really good on Zoom. He actually learned how to what did you kind of put that
What is that
behind
called?
you? I don't know. What
I got my daughter where you put it behind you.
He
Can't
could
see
blur
anything.
the screen behind him.
Some things I don't want the whole world to see.
Yeah.
What is
So,
that called?
I don't know. But you were able to blur. I couldn't see anything
can't get
behind you
out of
after a
it.
while. So I didn't know if, you had a cup of coffee or, whatever.
That was
So
the whole idea.
couldn't tell what was on the TV in the background anymore. So anyways, yeah. But no, he got really good at Zoom. But as far as what we, I think really learn anything new particularly, but more reinforced the passion that Buck has for the job and the passion that he's got for a coaching staff. So it was more reinforcement.
That was I think my word was verified. I had a few moments where I get off and I go, yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was hoping. And that's what this is going to be about. And, I actually couldn't wait for the next Zoom, but I felt I've learned a lot about Zoom calls and I'm getting better at it.
All right. With that, next up, we'll go to Eddie Coleman. Ed, your line is open.
Hey guys, Mike stole my question mine was on Chavez as well, but I'll ask about Billy. I'll ask about Jeremy Barnes and why you decided to promote him. I know he's been a hitting coach before, but why was he a good compliment to Eric for that job?
I think, what we set out to do was to really complement the skills of the staff. We wanted to diversify, who was going to be involved with our players. And so what we did is we really asked Eric. When we landed on Eric, we both had a conversation independent with Eric or individual with Eric and asked, what do you think would help the most? He gave a criteria. Once we established the criteria, that allowed us or directed us to who we should talk to. So we angled for a little bit more technical, swing analysis, people that had some familiarity with using some technology or just being able to read some of the technology with the batted ball information and so on and so forth. So it led us to Jeremy. Jeremy had a lot of experience using some of the modern tools. He played for a number of years in the minor leagues as well. So he understands, he understands, what players go through. So it was just a nice complement of skills with Eric.
I thought that the Jeremy also, the fact that he and Jeremy Hefner are from our system, I thought it was good. For nothing else, some morale from our organization that we took somebody from within. Now when I say, hey, who's that? Who is this player? Jeremy's going to know that, Barnes. And I think that's a nice, and there's going to be some comfort level with guys in the clubhouse that know these two guys. It's just like making sure we have language barriers of Spanish spoken out of our coaching staff. It was important to be well-rounded and try to solve many things. Nothing's ever perfect, but it doesn't keep you from trying to be.
And for you, Buck, I know you touched upon this in the introductory conference, and I hate to be a pessimist, but have you done any further planning on a shortened spring training and getting, things along those lines in order at this point?
Well, the first thing is we have dates. If everything went well, I'm hoping for some good news today out of the agreement. I'm sure somebody can shed some light on that, which I'd love for you to do. But, you start preparing like it's going to be as advertised. And I'm not even going to handicap and jinx us about whether that. And then I've been kind of going in week intervals about how much time you're going to have. It seems like the amount of workout time before game start has shrunk every year. And so I think just being prepared for different timetables and knowing, let's face it, spring training's a lot about getting pitchers ready. And this will be no different. And, I was talking to Eric about how much time at the very least do you need, Jeremy, where this stands. We just don't have that safety net of the guy has a minor injury. Now, if they have that, it puts opening day in jeopardy if we have a shortened spring training. I'm hoping for the best. I think the players are too, and I'm not going to get into handicapping the lockout, but we're trying to prepare for all scenarios, knowing that it's probably completely such is impossible, but we're going to try.
Bruce Beck, your line is open. Go ahead, Bruce. Hold on, Bruce. We got to get you unmuted. There you go.
Sorry about that. Buck, now that you've digested, I guess, a lot with the New York Mets, do you have all the ingredients you need to win here? The staff, the ballpark, the players, all the components in your mind?
Well, there's a lot of, I'm all about trying to eliminate excuses we might have, my job is to take what we have and make it as good and as competitive as it can be. I don't, Billy and I certainly will have private talks about this and that and where we might, I know he's very good at the what ifs. We all assume that a player is going to be our shortstop this year, but we have to always attack the what ifs, and hopefully they come from our system, but sometimes they don't. I'm excited about the draft this year with the picks that we're going to have. Obviously it's not in my alley, but it's something's got something to do with the Mets. But back to your question, I've certainly looked at it, but I'm more looking at the people we have and how to make them as good as they can be and reach their potential. And if someone else comes up on the horizon, I don't need to be the first to know. Billy knows what he's doing. He's got a great track record of that, and the energy and the want to is something we'll all share. So I'm trying to shorten up. I'm trying to stay involved on that 40-man roster and anybody that might be on the horizon from within the organization.
And Billy, it's a lockout, but the fans are anxious to see this team on the field in 2022. Is this a playoff team in your mind? Is this a team that possesses championship timber?
Yeah, this club is well positioned now, as is. It can always be better. That's some of my own wiring is to always seek improvement. In kind of all aspects. So where we can find opportunities to be better, we will explore those and seize those opportunities as they come. But one of the things that I really like to do is about a week or two before spring training ends, the over/under totals are posted publicly. I prefer the outside view. I know we're good, but I prefer to get the outside view to kind of set those set things from an exterior standpoint. But internally, we feel good about where we are, but also acknowledge there's always room to improve.
All righty. Thank you, Billy. Let's next, we will go to Matthew Roberson. Matthew, your line's open.
Hey fellas, Matthew Robertson from the Daily News. You mentioned Hefner a little bit ago. I'm just curious, as him being the only survivor of the Rojas regime, what was it about him specifically that made you feel he was deserving to stick around? And with both of you being fairly new, what have your interactions been like with Hefner so far?
as Buck alluded to, a big understanding of the personnel and the systems and the processes that we have here. Similar to what I was talking about with Jeremy Barnes, a very good lens into the application of some of the modern tools with very good, or sure seems like to me, like really, really high-end bedside manner. And so I really have appreciated his presentation, his kind of intellectual curiosity, his awareness of situations. Yeah, I think if we were interviewing Jeremy from the outside, he would have won the interview, but thankfully he was already here. So yeah, I've been very impressed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If he'd have been in an interview process, he probably would have been our pitching coach. He's been impressive. His knowledge of the players and the feedback I've gotten from people that have interacted with him on a day-to-day basis. I'm excited to have that kind of cheat sheet, so to speak, to bounce a lot of things off him. He's been very receptive to all the questions. At some point, he's probably going to ask me to give him a break, but he's been really impressive, and I'm lucky to have him.
Thank you.
Pat Ragazzo, your line is open.
Hey guys, this question could be for both of you, but I was wondering if you decided on who specifically on the staff.
We got to mute. Sorry.
Pat, try that again, Pat. You got muted in the middle. Go ahead one more time.
You guys hear me?
Now we can. Go
Gotcha.
ahead.
Okay, perfect. So this one could be for both of you, but I was wondering if you decided on which specific staff members are going to be coaching the infield and outfield this season.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I hit that mute button because I knew that was going to be a tough question. So now I'm muted again. No, Joey's going to have the infielders. Okay. And Wayne Kirby will have the outfielders. Glenn Sherlock will have the catchers. Eric Chavez and Jeremy will have the hitters. Jeremy Hefner and CB will have the pitchers. And, what am I missing? Base running, probably be a combo of Kirb and Joey, because they're responsible for that. And I'll pick up the pieces from there, trying to figure out what my area is. But what am I missing? Any face? I think that's pretty much it. Does that answer your question, Pat?
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Buck. Jerry Beach, we'll go to you next. Your line's open.
Hey guys, this question's for Buck. I imagine there's plenty of background work done on your players when you're new to the position as a manager, as well as when you're a manager and new players arrive. With the inability to speak to players for obvious reasons, has there been even more of that in your part this winter in terms of calling and communicating with people who have played with and worked with Mets players?
Yes, almost to a fault. I've got to. It's been fun though. There's been some situations where I've just kind of said, where that's concerned, I want to make up my own mind. I think it's good that the players know you have a fresh look. You're not going to be clouded by he said, she said, all the different things that go on. There's no secrets in the game, so to speak. People are very willing to share information, but sometimes you get overloaded with it. I love looking at bios number-wise and understanding where they're from, their background, their family situation. And there's a certain picture there that you can get painted, but the final part of that picture is your day-to-day interaction and making up your own mind about things. I think players like the idea that you're going to have a fresh mindset, but also remember and know all the quality things they've done to get to the point. These are the best players in the world. There's 40 on 30 clubs, and there's a certain respect you have to have for them getting to this level. But I'm looking forward to seeing the in-person part of that and see if it matches up with some of the things that I've accumulated.
Barry Bloom, your line is open. I'll come to you.
Hi, guys. Barry Bloom, good to see you again. Good to see you, Buck.
Hi, Barry.
For a while. I'm really glad you got Glenn back. He's always been one of my favorites. So just changing gear a little bit here for Buck. Put your commentator hat on a little bit. What do you think of the Hall of Fame vote coming tomorrow? And you managed through that whole era and saw a lot of these guys play who may get in or may not get in. What's your opinion of where we are on the ballot?
Well, are those players that we may currently trade for or something? So can I have to stay away from them? I wish. No, I'm big about understanding the process of things I don't know about. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and weigh in on, the voting process. We all have our own individual ideas about what we know. And then there's a lot of times, even situations like here, I go, okay, well, I didn't know that. Now I know why that happened. I've got my personal opinions on guys that I've had. There's a lot of factors other than just their playing career that people want to talk about. Should that figure in, not figure in? But, it's good for baseball. I hope that we're celebrating some, the players' careers. And I know how much it means to guys. But I got to tell you, I've had my bucket full. In fact, that last night before I went to bed, I noticed that it was coming out here soon. And I went, wow, I guess I now know who's up. But when you've had guys, Barry, and they played for you that are in there, one, it makes you feel old, but it also, there's a little stake there. And you do talk to them, how much it may mean to them and may not. But they're a special group. Well, there's some good guys out there this year. Did I dance around it enough? I don't want to get too far in there, but we all have our own personal thoughts on it. But I usually find out that, when I was on this player competition committee about rules and different stuff, I can't tell you how many times they went, yeah, Buck, we've been looking at that for 2 years and here's why it's been a problem. I went, oh, okay, now I know. So I try to treat those things with respect. There's a lot of things going on there that they're ahead of and they've thought about.
Thank you, Buck. Time for just a couple more. Mark Healy, your line's open.
Mark Healy from the Wake newspaper in Rockaway. This question's for Buck. Buck, every stop that you've been at, you've always, and this might be low on the totem pole for you, but you've always found a way to incorporate the history of the team that you're managing and make it an important aspect for not just the players, but the coaching staff as well. How much of that have you had a chance to digest since you're not really outside of your Hyannis Mets cameo back in the day?
How'd you like the stash? How'd you like that stash? You like that stash? That's pretty good.
Yeah,
huh?
my wife doesn't love it, but
yours or mine? I'm talking about the one I had in that picture I saw.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The dark one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was before it got gray.
Is that something that you are going to continue to do with the Mets?
Yeah, that's a good catch by you. I just think, the Mets don't take a backseat to anybody in my mind. I think even the more I've looked at it and, Billy and Sandy and I have been talking some about, some of the ex-Mets and stuff and where that's concerned, embracing that. There's a storied past here. There's some really, I think sometimes we need a reminder of some of that. And so you're right. I love to make sure the players understand they're carrying a torch for a lot of people, not only just the fans, but people that went before them, that the Mets being good means a lot to. And Billy and I make that a sacred thing in our mind too, that, there's somebody living and dying with everything that we're doing on the field and off. And, when you're playing that West Coast game, somebody's back here watching that at midnight and being a little sleepy at work the next day. It does mean something to a lot of people, and they're going to be made aware of that.
Thank you, Buck. Andy Martino, circle back to you. Your line is open.
Hey, Buck, just wondering if you had decided on your plans yet for when you're going to settle down in St. Lucie and get in your office in uniform. I mean, it's such a unique year, but we're getting to the point where a manager typically would do that. Is there enough for you to do down there? Or are you going to wait until after the lockout is settled?
I'll never tell. No, I know about when I'm going to go down. I was kidding, Bill. I think I'm just going to go down and wait till a player shows up, one that I can really talk to, and some of the guys off the roster. But I know Billy and I were laughing. His wife and my wife, we've been here looking at housing here in New York, and Billy sent me a text last night, said, I just hope the Showalters don't bid on this same house because, it's obviously a seller's market. And there's a couple of ones down in St. Lucie, and Billy's got 3 kids that I want to make sure he gets the 4-bedroom place. So we're not working against each other, but I'm gonna probably head down about the 6th or 7th and just pray that somebody walks through the door quickly thereafter that I can talk to about the club that I don't get in trouble for if I do.
Billy, everyone, player development staff and everyone off non-40 guys will all be there normally, right?
Yeah, about mid-February is when we're talking about getting some things going on the field with some of the younger more prospect oriented players at that time.
Thanks guys.
Mark Roseman, we're going to wrap with you. Your line is open.
Hey, Buck. Thanks, Harold, by the way. Buck, it's been 30 years since that first managerial job, and we know that baseball has really changed and evolved over those years. But you go back and you look at that first coaching staff you had, Mark Connor, Tony Cloninger, Frank Howard, Ed Napoleon, and Cleve Boyer. How does this coaching staff differ from that one?
You know what? The more things change, the more some of the things you have to do to win stay the same, though. Abner had a great invention called 90 feet. I don't care how fast you run, you can't outrun that little white rat on a routine play. There's just the dynamics of it are so fascinating that, I've always been a curious guy. I know when I first came up, there were some things that we were trying to do that people kind of looked down at and, like trying to reinvent the wheel or something, try to sell some of that to Cleve Boyer and Frank Howard and some of those guys. But it's part of the evolution of you as a coach and as a manager, and seeing that there's, trust me, I've said it before. If I go back to the hotel or the house thinking that we got beat because somebody had better information or something that we did, and I know Billy and I know our staff are going to make sure we have what we need, it's going to put all the responsibility in our court, to sift through it and make sure the right stuff gets to the players and without overclouding, what they have to do. Playing the game's hard, Mark, and you have to respect that. But, that reminder, though, those guys served what we needed then. Every coaching staff evolves, and as the game evolves, you have to meet the needs of the team, of the players. And so, it can't be about you or this or whatever. It's about who brings that supports and serves our players the best so they can go out there and perform and eliminate any excuses there might be to not be as good as we're capable of being. I just want to break camp and go, we're going to be as good as we're capable of being, and I'm curious to find out what that is. That's my job, is rehearse for the Broadway play that we're going to have in April or late March, and we're rehearsing our lines and getting ready for the play down in St. Lucie. Come see us.
With that, good place to end. Billy and Buck, thank you much for your time and insight today. Thank everybody else for joining us. We appreciate it. Feel free to reach out with any further inquiries, and we look forward to seeing everybody soon. And
the heater's working here. I can tell you that, Billy. Huh? It's smoking.
Good. We don't have to layer up as much. Very nice. See everybody later. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.